Hello everyone, this is Gales here today, and we're back with yet another Dungeon Quest guide through video today on showing you guys on how to get all of every drop found in the canals, insane and nightmare difficulty. Like before with my previous Dungeon Quest guide videos, if you were watching the past before, then you'll probably know how it works pretty much. I'm going to be showing you a walkthrough on how to do it today. Now I know this has been a while back since I've made my last video on the Samurai Palace difficulty. Now, this is with the Canals difficulty before. I know it's been about a while since I've been behind on Dungeon Quest content specifically, and I do want to make it more as fast as possible. It's just been kind of hard to making content specifically on this channel and making the content again for specifically. So I do want to catch up on Dungeon Quest guide videos, but it's going to be hard to be a while though to get back with the swing of things with editing and all that stuff. Remember guys, if you are new to the channel and want to see more future content like this, make sure that guys hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell for more, and remember guys, if you're also interested, please don't forget to also check out my membership page if you guys are not new or any. You can hit the join button right below the subscribe button on my channel to access for future perks and stuff for many more. That is all for today's intro, and hope you guys enjoy the rest of the Canals guide video on every single drop. So for the two level 99 weapons that we are looking at today in the Canals Insane difficulty is the Stone Scythe and the Sapphire Stone Wand. The Stone Scythe is a melee weapon that is found on the Canals Insane difficulty in Dungeon Quest. It deals a base average of 48,000 damage per swing. It can be sold for a total of 1.1 million gold, and players must be at least level 99 in order to equip this scythe. The other 99 weapon is the Sapphire Stone Wand. It deals a base average of 48,000 spell power in total. It can be sold for a total of 1.1 million gold, and players must be at least level 99 in order to equip this. Now for the remaining 6 weapons that are all level 100, the first dual weapon that you can get in the Canals Insane difficulty is the dual Crimson Daggers. The dual Crimson Daggers deals a base average of 54,000 damage per swing. It can be sold for a total of 1.1 million gold, and players must be at least level 100 in order to equip these dual weapons. And then this weapon appears to be the daggers that the bodyguards use in the Canals Insane difficulty, so you'll see them like mostly with these enemies, like this one right there. The next mage weapon we have is the Runic Pike. The Runic Pike deals a base average of 54,000 spell power in total. It can be sold for a minimum of 1.1 million gold, and players must be at least level 100 in order to equip this pike. This weapon as well is the same as the enemies like the Dark Magicians that use in the Canals dungeon whenever you see them. The next one is the dual Razor Slicers, which is yet another dual weapon. It's like a shuriken kind of like thing. It deals a base average of 62,000 damage per swing. It can be sold for a total of 1.1 million gold, and players must be at least level 100 in order to equip these dual slicers. The next mage weapon we have is the Elementus Staff. The Elementus Staff deals a base average of 62,000 damage in total. It can be sold for a minimum of 1.1 million gold, and players must be at least level 100 in order to equip this staff. This staff is the replica of the same thing that the Mage Overlord uses, and one of the bosses that the Mage Overlord uses in the Canals. The next weapon we have is the Giant Royal Axe. The Giant Royal Axe deals a base average of 70,000 damage per swing. It can be sold for a total of 1.1 million gold, and players must be at least level 100 in order to equip this weapon. And yet this Giant Royal Axe is held by one of the bosses found in the Canals, and that is the Garden Overlord. And then finally we have the last mage weapon found in the Canals Insane difficulty is the Toxic Spell Scythe. Toxic Spell Scythe deals a base average of 70,000 damage in total of spell power. It can be sold for a minimum of 1.1 million gold, and players must be at least level 100 in order to equip this weapon. Next are the spell drops found in the Insane difficulty of the Canals. We have a total of 6 of them to be exactly in total for them. The first one is the Runic Strike. The Runic Strike creates an orb in front of you, which is then sliced and shattered into shards that fly in front of you. The spell power in total can only deal a total of 1 tick in damage. It's not like it's an AoE or anything like sort of it, and deals about 12 times the damage per swing. It has a cooldown of 2 seconds, which functions as a damaging physical power spell, and the rarity is an uncommon. It can be sold for a total of 1.5 million gold, and players must be at least level 99 in order to equip the spell drop. The next one is another warrior class spell drop, is the Electric Slash. The Electric Slash slices forward in a crescent sweep and causes all enemies hit to take high damage over a small period of time. The Electric Slash is an almost similar identical to the Rending Slice found in the Underworld Insane difficulty before. So yeah, it basically is almost identical, except that it has the same as the electrical slash damage beforehand. It can yield a total of 4 ticks of damage the first healing does, and then that's 18 times damage per swing of the user, and following heal a times 6 as well whenever you do the final. And then the other 3, which will be a smaller amount of damage, which is 1/3 of that, basically. It has a cooldown of 7 seconds that functions the type of damage of a damaging spell that scales with physical power, and the rarity is a rare. It can be sold for a total of 1.5 million gold, and players must be at least level 99 in order to equip the Electric Slash. The spell drop we have is a mage weapon, and that is the Earth Kick. The Earth Kick kicks up a chunk of the ground, kicks it forward, dealing damage to enemies in range. Now, this is kind of considered to be an AoE damage for some reason. I'm not sure why it is, basically. It's supposed to be very weird. It has a cooldown of 2.5 seconds that functions with the spell power, and the rarity is an uncommon. It can be sold for a total of 1.5 million gold, and players must be at least level 99 in order to equip the spell drop. The second mage weapon we have for the insane difficulty of the Canals is the Tsunami, which creates a wave of water that travels in a straight line. It has a cooldown of 5 seconds, which functions as a damaging spell. It can be sold for a total of 1.5 million gold, and players must be at least level 99 in order to equip this spell drop. This is a pretty good spacing spell drop that you could use for spacing, and has good massive AoE damage on all of the mobs that you can use. So it's really good to have this weapon pick up before you actually have a stronger version, which I'll get to that in the Nightmare difficulty later on in the video. The last mage weapon we have for this same difficulty is the Icicle Barrage. Icicle Barrage has icicles fall from the sky, then explode into ice shards, and it deals a total of 2 ticks of damage, which can be kind of an AoE spell like before. It has a cooldown of 6 seconds, which functions as a spell power damaging spell type, and the rarity is a rare. It can be sold for a total of 1.5 million gold, and players must be at least level 99 in order to equip the spell drop. And the last insane difficulty spell drop we have for the insane difficulty is another healer spell drop. For healing is the Life Pulse, which sends out a pulse which surrounds players caught in the pulse with healing. So again, this is like an AoE spell that you can pretty much use that really helps out. The last time we ever got a healing spell was in the King's Castle dungeon, so if you have not gotten already this spell, it's really good to actually use this one a lot, because it's the most recent spell, and it's really good to help out if you really want to use this. It hits the initial pulse 6 times over a period of time of it. It has a cooldown of 8.3 seconds, which functions as a spell power for healing, and its rarity is a rare. It can be sold for a total of 1.5 million gold, and players must be at least level 99 in order to equip the Life Pulse. Now we got all the spell drops away, is the free armor drops founded on the insane difficulty in the Canals, and it is another type of variant. We have the same name for those armors, and we have the Salvage Warrior set, the Salvage Mage set, and the Salvage Guardian set. For both the Salvage Warrior and Mage sets, basically, it deals a base average of 4,000 spell power or physical power in total, depending on which one you're picking. And then for the other one being the Guardian spell, it has a base average of 70,000 health per armored piece in total. Each armor sets that you find in the dungeon, if you ever get one, can be sold for a minimum of 1.1 million gold per armored piece, and players must be at least level 100 in order to equip these armor sets. Now for the next difficulty is the Canals Nightmare difficulty drops founded. The first 2 level 104 weapons are the Dual Magma Flames and the Emetheus Spell Scythe that deals a base average of 74,000 damage per swing. It can be sold for a total of 1.8 million gold, and players must be at least level 104 in order to equip these dual magma flames. The next one, level 104 weapon we have is the Amethyst Spell Scythe. It deals a base average of 74,000 damage in spell power total. It can be sold for a minimum of 1.8 million gold, and players must be at least level 104 in order to equip this spell scythe. The next dual weapons found in the Canals Nightmare difficulty is the Dark Ice Blades. Dark Ice Blades deals a base average of 86,000 damage per swing. It can be sold for a total of 1.8 million gold, and players must be at least level 105 in order to equip these dual weapons. The next dual mage weapons we have is the dual arcane slicers. It deals a base average of 86,000 spell power in total. It can be sold for a minimum of 1.8 million gold, and players must be at least level 105 in order to equip this mage weapon. And for the next one we have for another warrior is the dual infernal scimitars. The dual infernal scimitars deals a base average of 94,000 damage per swing. It can be sold for a total of 1.8 million gold, and players must be at least level 105 in order to equip this dual weapon. Now for the next spell scythe we have is the Runic Spell Scythe. Deals a base average of 94,000 damage in total. It can be sold for a total of 1.8 million gold, and players must be at least 105 in order to equip this weapon. Now for the two best second weapons that you can get in the Canals Nightmare difficulty, we have the first one being the Blood Firstier. It deals a base average of 104 to 106,000 damage per swing. I don't know if the wiki's just messed up or something, or it just could be a little bit inaccurate, but who knows. It can be sold for a total of 1.8 million gold, and players must be at least level 105 in order to equip this weapon. And the last one being the Mana-Infused Spellblade. The Mana-Infused Spellblade, once again, it deals a base average of 104 to 106,000 damage in total. It can be sold for a minimum of 1.8 million gold, and players must be at least level 105 in order to equip this Spellblade. Now for the two next legendaries found in the Canals Nightmare difficulty. Again, this is also with the same drop rate. And for those two legendaries we have the Overlord's Rage Blade and the Overlord's Mana Blade. Both of these Overlord's Rage and Mana Blade weapons deals a base average of 120,000 damage in total, up to, depending on if you play spell or in warrior, it'll deal a total of 120,000 damage per swing, or 120,000 spell power in total. It can be sold for a minimum of 2 million gold, and players must be at least level 106 in order to equip either the Overlord's Rage Blade or the Overlord's Mana Blade. And like before with any other dungeon, it has a drop rate of 0.2, which is 1 out of every 500 runs to get either both these legendaries. Interesting fact about these legendaries is that both of them actually are equipped to the final boss in the Canals, is the Warrior Overlord boss. The Blade Revolver has a cooldown of 4.5 seconds in total, which functions as a physical power spell, and the rarity is an epic. It can be sold for a total of 1.5 million gold, and players must be at least 104 in order to equip this spell drop. The next warrior spell we have is the Blade Storm. The Blade Storm increases the player's movement speed and makes multiple green orbs spin around the player, dealing constant damage. This is the second type of speed spell that is found in the game, which functions as a type damaging spell with scales of physical power, and the rarity is an epic. It can be sold for a total of 1.5 million gold, and players must be at least level 104 in order to equip this spell drop. This spell can yield up to a total of 12 ticks of damage each tick dealing 4 times the damage's player per swing. After the 4-second cooldown, it can be up to a total of 8 seconds before the actual drop of the cooldown actually begins. The next mage weapon we have is the Forgotten Army. The Forgotten Army creates a rectangular zone which multiple humanoid figures dash forward, dealing quick damage. The Forgotten Army can deal up to a total of 8 ticks of damage. It has a cooldown of 5 seconds, which functions as a damaging spell, and the rarity is an epic. It can be sold for a total of 1.5 million gold, and players must be at least level 104 in order to equip this spell drop. This Forgotten Army is the exact same variant as the Skull Flames found in the Pirate Island Nightmare difficulty. The Forgotten Army can be pretty good as well. You can also use this too with like the Skull Flames for last time, considering Skull Flames was very overpowered during the time of Dungeon Quest. And finally, the last main weapon we have is the Vortex, which increases the player's movement speed and creates a powerful vortex of all that follows the player while damaging all nearby enemies. It can deal up to a total of 12 ticks of damage like before with the last time with the Blade Storm. It can deal up to a duration of 5 seconds as a cooldown 2 seconds, which basically goes up to 5 seconds, so after when the storm is about to appear, the countdown starts ticking. It scales with small power and the rarity is an epic. It can be sold for a total of 1.5 million gold, and players must be at least level 104 in order to equip this Vortex spell. And finally, for the last 6 armor drops found in the Canals Nightmare difficulty, the first types of armor sets we have are the Rogue armor sets, the Warrior, Mage, and Guardian sets for the Rogue. For the both Warrior and the Mage sets for the Rogue class deals a base average of 5,500 damage in total, so depending on if you pick Warrior or Mage, it would deal that amount of damage. Each piece can be... As for the outer one being the Guardian armor being the Guardian, can yield up to a total of 200,000 health, which is basically having about a base average of 100,000 health per armor piece for the Guardian set. It can be sold for a total of 1.4 million gold per armor piece that you find on these dungeons, and players must be at least level 105 in order to equip the Rogue armor sets. And the last type of variants, which is the best armor that you can get for the Canals Nightmare difficulty, there are the Overlord armor sets, being the Warrior, Mage, and Guardian sets, like before last time with the Rogue. Both the Overlord, Warrior, and Mage sets can deal up to a total of 6,300 damage, which, like before with the Warrior or the Mage sets, whatever you equip. And as for the Overlord's Guardian set, it can yield up to a base average of 300,000 health, combined with a total of 150,000 health per armor piece of the Guardian set. Each armor piece that you find in the Nightmare difficulty can be sold for a total of 1.6 million gold, and players must be at least level 106 in order to equip the Overlord's armor sets. Well everyone, that's going to be it for today's video on showing you all on how to get the drops found in the Canals Nightmare and Insane difficulty. Thank you all for watching for today's guide video. This is Gales here, signing out.